Okay, so here we are back at the Battle of Utica. I moved these light infantry, kind of slid them over. No biggie there. They turn, move, turn back. They have to pay to do each of those turns. But one thing that I wanted to point out as a little trick that I use, when an elite leader uses that first elite advantage to fire off an action before anybody else does, and I don't know if there was any great advantage doing this, except he doesn't have to roll for momentum for his second action. He gets it at the end of the turn or whatever. I mark him with some little marker or another just to indicate, because there's no way within the game to indicate, hey, my elite leader went once out of his 3 possible actions. Just as a kind of, there isn't something that I have in my set that allows me to indicate that. Okay, so now it's Mago's turn to go because he's got a 4 initiative rating, and I've moved, I don't know if you can see him, but the weak leader. There's another leader with a 4 initiative rating over on the rebel side, but it automatically goes over to the Carthaginians side if the 2 leaders have the same value. What I want to do with Mago is I want to hit these infantry. Let me explain some of my thinking there. If I look at the combat chart, elephants versus the infantry, it doesn't get any advantage in either direction. There's a dash there. Against some of the, like the skirmishers, it'll get an advantage. But when I look over at this chart, the Clash of Arms or Clash of Spears chart, I look down and hitting the front of Legion infantry, it's about equivalent. It's about even. 7 is the normal value, but 9 against the mediums, 11 against the lights, 13 against the skirmishers. I've got good odds tables there, even if I don't get the flank attack and the superiority. The superiority will give me a doubled damage when I hit, so I do want to try to outflank if I can. Plus I've got this cav unit, I don't know if you can see him, this cav unit here, which has to try to run away, and if I can approach it from the flank, bad things happen. Now, the rebels could try to trump Mago's action, but doing so they wouldn't skip him. He'd just be bypassed, and he'd still get to trigger those elephants. So there isn't a lot that I can do to stop them from hitting. I mean, they're elephants and they're coming. They're not going to just pause, right? So I'm going to let them come in and see what happens. Along here, I'm already in a zone of control with these. So theoretically, if I marked everything, I would put kind of a choose to shock marker here. They're already engaged, as it were. They don't have to, they don't absolutely have to hit. However, with the others, I do have a certain degree of requirement to hit. Now, unfortunately, these slingers are kind of in my way. I have an option, I can pull this guy through, but this one's going to hit in the slinger zone. And I don't believe he has a choice here. I believe he must shock. And I'll mark that with such a counter. Now, normally I don't mark every single unit with a counter, just because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. These are just little mnemonic devices here. Now, he moved forward. That triggers an action. The slinger gets to shoot, and I'll roll a die for the slinger. And at the same time, I get to throw my javelins. I don't get to use my archer screen because I'm not reacting. So let's try the slinger, and the slinger rolled an 8, which is a miss, and my javelins rolled a 0, which is a hit. I could fire missiles with these guys. I don't want to, because if I do, I trigger return fire, no matter what. I'm doing a movement-like action there. So I would rather not fire at them. They moved up on me. I'm going to hit them. What about this next one? Well, I kind of want to just scatter these skirmishers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge forward. 2 skirmishers get to shoot me. And they actually got me with 2 hits. And I get to shoot 1. And I'm low on ammo now. And here, instead of this choose to shock, I'm going to move. I'm allowed to move out of a zone of control, even into another one. All 3 slingers get to shoot at me. And I've taken 1 hit from them. And my javelin can shoot back. And I'll just shoot at this guy. And I got a low missile. Alright. This one I'm not going to fire. There's no reason for me to. What about down here on this end? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This cav has to try to withdraw. I think, let me check the rules, that it doesn't actually have to make a check for that. It's been a little while. Nope. I'm allowed to try, but I don't have to. But if the elephant moves another space, I have to withdraw. Now from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could turn 1 hex side 6, 7, but I don't see a point to that. I'm going to march forward and I'm going to force this back. This has a movement allowance of 8, so it only gets a 1 hex withdrawal. Normally, you don't get to withdraw when something moves into the hex adjacent to you. It seems to be a special rule involving the elephants and cav. Let's move another one. 1, 2, 3. Oh, back with this guy, he was going to throw his javelins at this light infantry. Oh, that may stop his movement. I'm not sure if it does. Firing during movement 8.11. Is that 8.11 or 8.11? I think it's got to be 8.11 because there is no 8.11. Yeah, I believe they can fire. Huh? They can't. They can only fire through their frontal hexes, unlike skirmishers. Okay, fair enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now these are, I'm going to flip them because we're getting complicated enough that I want to keep track of units flipping. I do want to hit their flank though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I get to throw a javelin at this guy. I am low on ammo. Flank attack's going to give me that attacker advantage. I don't really want to hit. And I'll put one of these here. Again, I don't use this many when I'm playing by myself. I don't really want to hit with another elephant here, and that's because the more units I throw in, I'm going to have to roll tactical quality on those additional units. I would rather not do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, let's see if I can build a line. I probably cheated. So, here's... Mago does not want to be part of that line, and he had the right to withdraw, and this is something I'm always facing and forgetting about. He had the right to withdraw as those slingers came forward. He does not want to be in that hex, because if he's in the hex, he couldn't have done what he just did, commanding the line forward. You can always pull back with your leaders as long as you don't let something put you in a zone of control. I'm often making that mistake, though, and leaving someone in the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I would like to be able to build a line here. Let me not do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, this is... I'm never sure. This shouldn't be a line, but it sort of is, so I allow it to play as one. And I want to move Mago so that he can command this part of the line and at least get them all moving again if he wants to. Now he's just slipped in behind this infantry line, which is one of the dangers of having slid it forward. You always want to protect your flanks. Well, there's no way to really protect them in this battle. I was going to be able to slide around. There aren't enough rebel units to defend. Alright, let's go to the combats themselves. So, if you do this correctly in order, and you don't have to do it completely in order, but you got to be careful to handle areas that influence each other in order. Here's what happens. Let's look at the little, see, I should have a sequence of combat somewhere. So here's the shock combat activities. First you designate what you're shocking, and I've kind of already done that with movement. Charge, that's going to require some tactical quality checks. Then we check for leader casualties, and then we look on the charts and see what happens and take care of the effects. Okay, so I've already designated, and I've already actually designated where I'm going to have to make rolls. I don't have to make rolls here. These aren't counted as charges. These are, and this is. Okay, so for the charge here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be rolling. Let's take some of these counters off. This elephant has to roll less than or equal to his tactical quality, which is 7, and the rebel the same, which his is 5. Both succeeded, so neither one takes any hits for that. For now, I'll put these markers back. Again, I don't usually... I'll leave markers out of play, etc. in normal conditions. Now here I'm hitting skirmishers. There's special rules about skirmishers. I don't have to make a roll to attack skirmishers, but they have to make a tactical quality roll. So I'll check this skirmisher, and I rolled a big old 9 for him. 9 missed his tactical quality by 3. He only has a 6. So he takes 3 cohesion hits for that. Now he already had 2, so he's up to a 5. He is nearly broken, but not quite. Let's go to this one. I'll do the next 2. Green and blue. Both passed. Then this one. 5, he passes. These are good quality units, I think. Oh, no. Whoa. Okay. Now, this guy missed by 6. I'm sorry. Tactical quality on these is 3. Quality on this was only 5, not 7. 7's his movement allowance. Okay, so this guy actually routed. I can't remember what I rolled here. We'll say this was good, that they both made their 5s. This guy, however, I rolled a 5 for, so he takes 2 tactical quality hits. Since he had 1 already, 1 plus 2 is 3. That's enough to rout him. Alright, and now we keep going, because we got more. These are light infantry. They do cause a tactical quality check. I didn't move this guy. I'm not sure why, but that's okay. These guys count as moved. So let me do tactical quality now. I'm going to do these two at the same time. The elephant they both got an 8. Move this out. Oh, they don't have to roll. They had to choose to shock, not a... You don't have to make the charge roll. Okay, so that was a lie. Alright, now we go to the actual combats, but first we have to resolve these routes that took place because the elephants are coming forward. So what happens? Well, this guy has to get out of here, and he's got to kind of retreat this way. I'm not sure I believe what they say are the retreat zones for this battle, but if they word them correctly, the the Carthaginians have to retreat this way. The rebels have to retreat up off either of the other ends. So I'll go with that. This guy's going to have trouble finding a place to retreat. This is somewhat up to the player, so I'm going to say he runs this way. May or may not be the best. This is going to go forward, and it's done. It's not going to make an attack. And now, got the same situation here, but I feel like this guy will be running this way. And this one comes forward. And he's also done. Okay. So let's go to the ones who had a choice, let's go to the combats. And again, these are all handled simultaneously, which could be important because you don't want a blitzkrieg type situation where you're pocketing units and destroying them that way. That's not realistic for this time period. It's generally two big lines crashing together and one falls back, or they both just kind of stay intermingled or whatever. Okay, so let's look at what we've got here, and I'm going to be doing each attack separately. So we look, and remember there was no tactical advantage off the shock superiority chart down here. So we look at the elephant versus a skirmisher. Light infantry, and that has an 11 with front facing. The skirmisher has its front hexes facing them. That means that my base on the shock combat chart is an 11. However, I look at the size of the units involved, and they're both size 5. Size is only really important for this. That means neither side, there are 1-to-1 odds, so nobody gets an advantage off that. Nobody's depleted, so that doesn't affect it. So I'm going to be rolling right on that 11 chart. I rolled a 0, which is very bad for the attacker. There's possible modifiers if a leader was involved, and there would be a leader casualty check. But neither of those are in effect, and instead we get a result of 3 and a parenthesized 2. The 3 is the effect on the attacker. The 2 is the effect on the defender. Those are in cohesion hits. So let us take this off. And he goes up to a 4. And he only took 2, so he's at a 3. And that didn't go too well for the elephant. Now, we'll come back because the elephant is within 1 of his cohesion hits, so he's going to have to make a roll to see if he can stay in that combat. He might break anyway, or he might get better. Okay, well, we've got the same effect here, basically. And here I roll a big old 7, and on the chart, a 7 is much, much better for the attacker. That's a 2 for the attacker and a 4 for the defender. So the attacker gets a 2 marker. I put under him. And I'll flip him over as moved because he moved. And I said 4 for the defender. And they're just locked in combat here. Now this is a javelineer, so he's out of missiles. Indeed, this guy is too, for whatever that affects. Pulled the wrong counter. Okay. How are we doing on time here? Okay. So that was these two. Now we come over here, and we've got a similar situation with this elephant hitting there. Now these head to shock. This is a charge situation. That means the advantage on the odds table goes to the attacker. On a non-charge situation like these, the advantage went to the defender. Now they were equal size, so there was no advantage. Let's take a look at this first one, where I have one elephant hitting. This guy's already attacked. He doesn't get to attack again. So I'm hitting a skirmisher, and that's on the 13 table. That's the highest table. I'm also at 5-to-1 odds because I've got size 5 and he's got size 1. That gives me 4 column shifts in my favor. I'd be on the 17 table, but there's no such thing. I'm attacking skirmishers. The most they can do is 1 point of damage to me. I roll a big old 9, which means I take 1, they take 6. Well, what happens? What always happens when you attack? Somebody routs. Okay, maybe not every time you attack. And in this case, it's the skirmishers. My elephant took a hit, which puts him up to 3. And you can see there's a lot of little actions with the chits that you have to take. This is not the case with the simple Great Battles of History. It gets rid of a lot of this little mechanical stuff. I'm fine with it and not willing to pay 20 bucks for a system that may be more pleasant, but I'm not sure. So here I'm again on the same table, that 13 with many shifts. I roll a die. I get a 9 again. That routs the skirmisher. And my elephant takes a hit, puts him over to the 2 table. Still haven't done this one. This one's kind of interesting. A little different from what we've seen. First of all, I have the attacker advantage because I'm hitting him in the flank. But now I'm an elephant hitting, I believe he's light infantry? It's not in the front, which would be 11. It's in the flank, which is 13. So I'll be on the 13 table. And my size and his size are both 5, so that doesn't get modified. I roll a die. I got a 5, which if I look on that old 13 table, would say 1 to 3. Okay, that's not bad. Here's the thing. I got the attacker advantage. I doubled the defender's losses. It's 1 to 6. The defender's routed. And he's got problems. And I'll show you in a moment. The attacker had to take a point. And that's his first. He didn't have to make a, or he made his tactical quality check. Okay. Now we handle the effects of this combat. What happens? Well, neither of these moved yet. This guy has to retreat. He has to retreat 2 hexes. He can retreat to here. He's not entering a zone there. Here I've got a collision. I'm going to retreat these slingers to here, and then retreat this guy 1, 2 through the light infantry. He's just caused a cohesion hit to the light infantry, and now the light infantry takes a roll on its morale. It rolled very high, so it takes 4 more hits, and it too routes and runs ahead of its buddy. That was here, so these guys must advance. They have no option in the matter. Likewise, these guys both attacked and get to advance. Now we got something interesting. This guy's in a zone. He has to roll his morale to stay there. He does not. He would have needed a 0 or a 1. So he's going to route. The only way he can route is this way. So 1, 2. Mago is going to run away. He routed through this guy. Actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He goes full movement, but this guy does too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're not heading this way. They're heading up this way. But that's where they have to go. And I may be wrong about the rules here, but this is how I've played these things. Okay, so now what's happened, we have to worry about one more thing, which is these units were all engaged in combat and are still in, well, after combat, they're units that are engaged in combat with a zone of control going one way or the other have to worry about their tactical quality and cohesion. And if I look at these, this guy's got a 6 quality and 3 hits. He's fine. This guy has a 6 quality and 4 hits. He's fine. You have to be within 1 for it to be a problem. This guy has a 5 with 2 hits. He's fine. This guy has a 5 with 4 hits. He has to make a quality check. If he doesn't make it, he routes. If he does make it, he heals 1 point of cohesion. He made it. So he's up to a 3. And he's moved for the turn. Alright, well that is a round of battle. I can roll to see if Mago gets another action. I don't believe I want to do that because these elephants are in a good position right now. I'm going to have to go out of my way to try to avoid being outflanked by them, and I think that will dissolve my line dissolve the rebel line even more, well, almost as much as the elephants hitting, and the elephants taking another move would cost them each a cohesion hit. My little thing is alerting me, so I'm going to cut this here and send it up.